Hi everybody, John back again with a new video this time. As I said on the video the other night, this is the Championship and Premier League roundup video. Just want to start off, before I go through the results, there's been quite interesting things that have developed over the last the last 36 to 48 hours. As everybody knows, from the week, I think it was published Monday afternoon, that Mike Ashley, owner of Newcastle and stakeholder of Rangers and owner of Sports Direct, has put Newcastle up for sale again, and has said that they want the sale to go through by Christmas, or he wants the sale to go through by Christmas, I should say. I'm not really sure how the Newcastle supporters in general are feeling about this. I know from watching the True Geordie's video about it that he put up yesterday, he's absolutely ecstatic about it, and to be honest, I don't blame him, because we're in a very similar position as West Ham supporters, that more and more people are getting sick and tired of the two Davids being in charge of the club. But yeah, as I say, it's an interesting one. You know, it's interesting that he wants to sell the club again, and apparently from reading the papers today, and I say apparently, there is big interest from a couple of people. One, we already know about that woman who was spotted, I can't remember her name now, that woman that was spotted in the stands a couple of weeks ago watching Newcastle game. I think they drew that game, if I remember right. I'm not 100% sure. Excuse me, but there's also stories in the newspapers today, more specifically the Evening Standard. Everybody knows my thoughts on stories of business deals and deals in general in the newspapers. But as I say, there's a story in there that says that apparently a Turkish billionaire who's in charge of many confectionery companies, more specifically ones that we will know of McVitie's, obviously we own Penguin and Jaffa Cakes, you name it basically, is the front runner to purchase Newcastle United for 220 million. And apparently the statement has come out that they are, it's not a statement, but it's reported that he will be giving Rafa Benitez, if the deal goes through, £60 million to work with. Now, I don't know if that's in January. It might be a little bit too late by the time all the proficiency tests that he'll have to go through to ensure that he's a viable owner, as we all saw with the fuck up of Leeds United. But yeah, you know, it's interesting. So it's more than likely, if the deal goes through, that 60 million will be in the summer. Speaking as a neutral, well, part neutral, because I actually do quite enjoy watching Newcastle games. I hope they stay up, and which they look like they will do, and therefore they'll be able to really invest if this deal goes through in the 18-19 summer window. So yeah, it'll be interesting, very, very interesting. Also along the same sort of lines, it's been reported this afternoon that that Leicester City have sacked former interim manager Craig Shakespeare. Now, this is really, really harsh. From my point of view, I'm not a big fan of Leicester City. To be honest, their fans are wankers, but they're no more wankers than Chelsea. You know, basically 4 months ago he signed a 3-year deal to be permanent manager from when Claudio Ranieri left in February. So, you know, he's been there for basically, including, right, let's include this month, he's been there for 7 months in charge. Yeah, 7.5 months in charge. All right, I say for argument's sake, okay, 8 months in charge. The dreaded 4 wins without a game chopping block has come down yet again. Is this going to be now a pattern that is going to slowly but surely eke its way into football? Is this the sort of thing that we're going to see? You don't win your game for 4 games, you're out on your arse. It's harsh. You know, as I say, I'm not a big fan of Leicester. I'm not a big fan of the circumstances that Shakespeare got the job. But nevertheless, it's a very, very harsh sacking. He's done nothing wrong, in my opinion. I'm sure Leicester supporters will say otherwise. If you do, guys, by all means, please say so. Let me know what you think. Okay, so going round to the football results now, after that 5-minute rant of ridiculous stories in the news so far. Birmingham were at home to Cardiff City on Friday, Friday the 13th, and also Bristol City were at home to Burton. Now, Birmingham beat Cardiff 1-0, and Bristol City drew 0-0 with Burton Albion. So, going to the, going to the Premier League, the early day kickoff of Liverpool at home to Man United, and as everybody knows, it was a 0-0 draw. Now, a lot of people have been criticising that game for it being boring. Yes, there were in the second part of the game. There was a lot of boring stuff in it, but to be honest with you, from my point of view, I actually enjoyed that game because there was a lot of contentious decisions being made by the referees, yet again, which I'll be coming into another point in this video. There was also very good. You could tell it was a derby. Everyone was pumped up. Apparently, Dejan Lovren has come out and said that Lukaku looked nervous in the game, which goes back to everybody's thoughts on the fact that he is crap, and against the bigger clubs. Man United had one shot on target throughout the entire game. This is Man United, who have beaten, smaller clubs quite extensively. And all of a sudden, it's the Mourinho tactic, apparently, of 19th century football, as he claimed to us when we drew 0-0 at Chelsea a few years ago under Allardyce. So yeah, it's strange. I don't get it. I think City will now clinch the title away from United's hands because of this bottle. Well, I hate to say it, but this bottle job that Mourinho's done in this game, and they're more than likely going to do the same thing in the reverse fixture as well. Now, the thing for me, just really, really quickly, Lovren cheated and to get Lukaku booked, because if you see from the replay, yes, there's contact. There's not enough for him to go down. There's certainly not enough for him to be rolling around like he's been shot, and for him to also clap and then hold his hands to imply that he was kicked in the face. Poor, dirty tactics. As everybody knows, if you haven't seen my video already, go and watch it for my post-match reaction of Burnley West Ham United, which was 1-1. Crystal Palace got their first win of the season and scored for the first time this season as well. So far this season, I should say, against Chelsea with a funny own goal by Chelsea, but Chelsea won it. Sorry, Chelsea lost 2-1 to Palace. Man City Stoke was the big talking point of the weekend, because Man City annihilated them with beautiful football. Man City 7, Stoke 2. Swansea were at home to Huddersfield, and Swansea beat them 2-0. Spurs were at home to Bournemouth, and Spurs managed to finally win properly again at Wembley, 1-0. And the evening kick-off, a big surprise from me, but a lot of people said they didn't see this one. They saw this one coming. Watford 2, Arsenal 1. Championship games: Barnsley were at home to Middlesbrough, and Barnsley drew 2-2. Bolton were at home to Sheffield Wednesday and beat them 2-1. Brentford were at home to Millwall and beat Millwall 1-0. Thank you very much, Brentford. Fulham were at home to Preston and a 2-2 draw. Leeds were at home to Reading, and Reading beat them 1-0. Norwich were at home to Hull City, and it was a 1-1 draw. Sheffield United were at home to Ipswich, and they beat them 1-0. Sunderland were at home to QPR, and they drew 1-1. And Wolves were at home to Villa and beat Villa 2-0. So there's not that many shocks on the Saturday games apart from Watford Arsenal from my point of view. And everybody knew Man City would beat Stoke, but they didn't. Nobody was expecting that. Absolutely nobody was expecting that scoreline at all. Turning to the Premier League on Sunday, Brighton were at home to Everton, and that was a 1-1 draw. Apparently, if we are going to be seeing this 4-game chopping block, it looks like Koeman's neck is very, very, very blade friendly, should we say? And Southampton were at home to Newcastle, and they drew 2-2. Only one game in the Championship. Derby at home to Notts Forest, and Derby beat Notts Forest 2-0. And turning to last night's game in the Premier League, which was Leicester 1, West Brom 1. Now, as I said in the video earlier, this was the reason. This was the linchpin, I reckon, for why Shakespeare was sacked, because they couldn't beat West Brom, who are a very, very difficult team and were up 1-0 for quite a lengthy spell of the game, if I remember correctly. Let me just double check the scoreline here. So 63 minutes West Brom were up. So it was 0-0 at half time, and West Brom led for 17 minutes, which in football is a long, long time, especially when you're losing at home. Right, so turning to this weekend's fixtures coming up. Hang on, let's have a look to see if there's any. Nope. Because obviously there's the Champions League games and whatnot. So there's no. It doesn't look like there's any. No Championship games until the weekend. So turning to the Premier League, it's our game against West Brom. That's right, West Brom, Brighton and Hove Albion. I'm not sure about this game yet. Okay, yeah. I did say for Swansea, Burnley, and Brighton that I see 7 points coming from these games. We're on target for that at the moment. We've got 4 from 6. Brighton should be. I can't say it's a must-win game because it's not. I mean, every game is a must-win, but it's not a 6-pointer or anything. We're 5 points clear of the drop at the moment. But I do want us to win on Friday night, and that'll kick off a good weekend for me, and the rest of us West Ham supporters as well. So turning to the weekend, the early kickoff is Chelsea in the Premier League. Sorry, Chelsea at home to Watford. I've got a funny feeling this is gonna be a hard-fought game, but Chelsea are just gonna nudge it, possibly 2-1. Huddersfield at home to Man United. Man United should absolutely trounce them. City at home to Burnley. So that's going to be about, at least, if Saturday's game against Stoke was anything to go by. I don't think there's any injuries as well, for that matter. Obviously, depending on how they do in the Champions League games as well. But I reckon City will turn them over. Maybe 3-1. Newcastle against Palace at home. Newcastle should do it. Beating Chelsea will vie up a few players, but I've just got a funny feeling Zaha's going to be on the score sheet again, and Newcastle may pay the price, but we'll see. Stoke at home to Bournemouth. I've got a funny feeling that's going to be a 2-2 draw. Swansea at home to Leicester. Leicester should do them 2-1, especially now they've got their manager again. And the evening kickoff is Southampton West Brom. Don't know, I think this might be a draw, with maybe Southampton edging it, but I think it's going to be a draw. Turning to the Championship, Aston Villa at home to Fulham. I can see that being a draw actually, but possibly Villa in the last few minutes. Barnsley at home to Hull. I think Barnsley somehow. Bolton at home to QPR. I think QPR should have an away win out of that. If they don't, they're in serious trouble. Brentford at home to Sunderland. I think that should be 2-1 Brentford. Bristol at home to Leeds. That could be 2-1 to Leeds, I think. Derby at home to Sheffield Wednesday. I'm not sure, I can't call it. Possibly a Derby win, but I don't know, really can't say. Borough at home to Cardiff. I expect expect that to be a good game, but a good win for Borough. Notts Forest at home to Burton Albion. Excuse me. I say a draw. Can't call it. Sheffield United Reading should do that. Wolves at home to Preston. Wolves win. And Millwall at home to Birmingham City. I'm hoping Birmingham absolutely trounce them. Sunday, the 22nd of October, 2 games in the Premier League. Everton at home to Arsenal, because both, I think, are still in the Europa. Obviously, I think Arsenal still are. I reckon I've got a funny feeling that's going to be an Arsenal win. Spurs at home to Liverpool again. It might be a draw, but Spurs might win again. We don't know. Can't call it. And the Championship is Ipswich versus Norwich. Possibly a draw, maybe Norwich win again. I can't call it. Okay, so that's the Premier League and Championship results and my predictions, as crap as they are. So thank you very much for watching this, guys. As always, please subscribe and please like the video if you've enjoyed it. So might do a post-match reaction on Sunday night. Friday night, depending on if I'm feeling up to it or not. Depends how the game goes. But either that or it'll be done Saturday morning. And also my weekly thoughts will be coming out on Saturday or Sunday as well. So in the meantime, guys, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you again soon. Take care.